Today, I want to talk about something very, very interesting to me personally, and it is the idea of rotting, okay? And I feel like this is kind of a crude way to approach the subject, but it's rotting, and that's what it's called. And I really want to get into why we do it, what we're doing ultimately, and then how to rot in a way that I view as healthy potentially. So let's just get into this. I think it's interesting. This has been a little bit of a social media trend, but it's really caught my eye, and I really do want to talk about this more in depth because it's intriguing to me, this idea of rotting. Okay, so let's jump in. Today we are drinking electrolytes in our water. It's very casual. Today is one of those days where I'm just moving at a slower pace than my normal. And I'm not mad about it. It's a rainy week in Texas, and when it rains in Texas, you have to take advantage of it, to just embrace your inner coziness, because I feel like it happens so rarely, especially because I lived in Florida for a little bit, and it literally rains like at least once a day, and I live for the rain. I love the rain, and to go from that to the dryness of Texas, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's a rainy week. It's really cloudy out right now, and I'm just drinking my electrolytes. I'm living my best life. And I also feel like this is the perfect time to discuss rotting, okay? So if you have not seen this on social media, maybe I'm just on the wrong side of social media, but basically what this is where a person kind of crashes for let's say maybe like 3+ hours and literally does nothing for an extended period of time, all the way up to like a day, a full day of just rotting, okay? And they call it rotting because I think there is this element when you're having a self-care night where you're resting, right? You're resting, but maybe you've got a face mask on, maybe you're doing your nails, and your rest is potentially slightly productive. And during this time, you're feeling better about yourself. You're actively making yourself better in a self-care night, even if your self-care is relaxing to read a book. You have an herbal tea with you, or maybe it's taking the everything shower, or whatever it is for self-care nights. It builds you up, okay? And where rotting comes in is, there is absolutely no, and I mean no, real like trying to get better at anything. You're not trying to feel better. You're not trying to make yourself appear better. You're not trying to necessarily help your mental health. Like, you're literally just rotting, okay? So I feel like, let's really dive into the what here. What is the rot? The rot is the art of doing quite literally nothing. Okay, like you are just vegging out and relaxing to the absolute top degree, to the point where relaxing is no longer even what's happening. You're just literally existing, okay? So for me, personally, as someone who has talked very openly about burnout and what that looks like when you push yourself to such an extreme, I would hit patches where I would have to rot for like an entire weekend and like barely able to do anything because I was working literally from 5 a.m. until about 10 p.m. the rest of the week nonstop, like literally nonstop. So I've always had this negative connotation around the idea of rotting. And again, that's such a crude term, rotting. It really makes you feel like you're just like an apple that's going bad and starting to smell a little weird. But I also think it does describe the actual like situation that you're in, because you're just sitting, okay? And so for me, like I said, it's just always felt very negative. But then I've started recently to realize that there is a difference between a Sabbath, between resting, between self-care nights, and these rotting times. And when I push myself too hard, I crave rotting. I crave it. I literally do. And it's different. It's different than resting or self-care or a Sabbath. A Sabbath, you're hanging out with other people. You're going to get meals. Maybe you're taking a walk. All of that sounds exhausting while you're rotting. Like, absolutely exhausting. So, a couple of things that I really want to kind of tease out here. Is rotting bad? Is it something that is bad for your body, bad for your mind, or is it something that's maybe a little needed at the pace that we live our lives? Okay. Something that I find very interesting, and Ed Milet talks about this. If you don't know, Ed Milet is one of my favorite men in the entire world. I love this man. I will someday meet him. It's on my bucket list. And Ed Milet talked about this in one of his books, and he explained how we have multiple days shoved into one day. So, like, used to, if you wanted to communicate with someone, you had to like freaking get on a horse and like go find them or write them a letter and wait months for a response. Like, literally, that was the way people communicated with each other. Businesses were not made in a day. Businesses were not reaching thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. There was a slowness to life that made it sustainable. But what has happened is, as we really start to systematize things in our world and make things go at a faster rate, we're able to do more things. But our bodies, our minds, they're still human. They're still made for a little bit of a slower lifestyle. Truthfully, in my opinion, I think that we absorb things at a rate currently that is way too fast. Like, I am constantly consuming. I'm constantly working on projects. I have my mind torn in a million different directions, and that's not healthy. So because that is our reality, though, that means I do believe the rotting is necessary in order to combat some of that, or in order to balance some of it. So maybe rotting isn't perfect. Maybe it's not exactly what we're all supposed to do. And maybe in the dream world, it would look more of like a self-care night. But for me, it doesn't do that, okay? So now let's get into a little bit more of the how, and then I'm going to jump back more into the why once we talk about this, okay? But how do you rot, okay? Now, I am still myself, and so I try very hard to plan my rotting time. If I do not, what happens is it will hit me all of a sudden, and I will procrastinate projects that need to be done, and I will literally just stop everything so I can go and rot and just sit and be done. So what I've started doing is planning mini rots throughout my week or throughout my month, so that way I can not build up to a massive one that holds me back long term, but rather have miniature things. And also, like I said, I kind of look forward to this. I look forward to my time. So for me, this is gonna make me sound so lame, but it's fine. It's Friday night, okay? So Matt works until 8 p.m. He's usually not home until around 9 on Fridays. And I'm not someone that goes out on Fridays. I really am not. So what we do is Friday nights are the rot nights. And so I work all week long. Fridays are my days to really dive into my extracurricular projects, to get more of my side hustles done, things like that. And then I take pretty much the whole evening to just rot. And I plan this out because then that means on Saturday, I'm ready to do a Saturday reset. I clean everything, grocery shop, get all of these tasks done, read a book, all of the things. And then Sunday, I'm ready for a fabulous, like so much fun Sabbath with my husband where we just rest, okay? So you have your rot day, your reset day, and your rest day. And this is just, I feel like I've really set this up to make sure that 4 days of a week, I can hustle so hard from 6 a.m. to about 8 p.m. each day. And it's just the way I work. I work best at this level. So scheduling in a little bit of time to rot each week means that I'm not building up to the point where I need it, okay? So let's talk about what the rot is. Like I said, it's really just existing. Now, I don't mean you're just sitting on the couch staring off into nothingness. Unless it's real bad. Maybe you need a real rot and that's all you're going to do. But I give myself the freedom to scroll during this time. I am very, very, very picky on myself. I have 15-minute timers set on my TikTok and Instagram every single day. Usually I try to save those so I can be posting and doing what I need to do on there instead of not. And then I have access to Instagram and TikTok on my laptop is where I do my work then. So I work on Instagram and TikTok a lot, especially for a company that I work for part-time. I do influencer coordinating for them. So I have all that accessible on my laptop. But for scrolling just to consume content, only 15 minutes a day for each app. And it's hard sometimes because sometimes you just get caught up in the scroll and then that 15 minutes is gone before you know it. So specifically during this time, I allow myself the freedom to just scroll endlessly, look at people's stories, look at Instagram, look at TikTok, all of the things, okay? I enjoy this time to just consume a little bit with a freedom that allows me to do that. Usually, if I'm going to allow myself time to scroll, I have to be working out while I'm doing that. Like on the treadmill or going on a walk or something like that. So it's a different type of freedom. I just release that pressure. I'm like, you know what? You deserve this. Go watch some vlogs. Go just enjoy, okay? Next, I am big on just turning on a comfort movie or a comfort show. During my rot time, I do not want to necessarily be invested in something new. I do not want to necessarily have to be paying attention to the movie in front of me. I really just want it on for the noise and for the comfort of it. I heard this one thing that said that if you love to rewatch shows or you have comfort movies, it is actually like very normal, because ultimately what it is you have connected with these characters, with these people, and it's almost like you're checking in on friends, and there's no surprises, there's no hidden drama, there's nothing like that. And it's like being around people that you know, because our humanness is meant to know people. And TV shows, especially with in-depth characters or lots of seasons, really allow you to get to know people. So it's so interesting to me. But yeah, I will turn on a comfort show like Friends, or maybe even something like The Office, just like literally brainless comfort show, and just let it be on while I'm scrolling or whatever. So I have usually I try to be very careful about how many like forms of media I'm consuming at one time. Like I try to watch all this throughout the week, but I give myself a couple hours where I'm like, you know what? Just exist with this. So the next, what am I wearing? Literally the comfiest clothes. And when I say the comfiest, I am not in a matching set. No. I am not in anything that I would feel at all okay with anyone seeing me. I am in the grossest sweatpants that I've had probably since middle school volleyball, and the baggiest tee. And I literally don't care. My hair is pulled up in some sort of crazy messy low bun, because all I can do is a low bun right now with how short my hair is. And there is not a care in the world. There is no skincare on my skin. There is no hair mask in my hair. There's nothing going on that's making it a self-care night. It's literally just grunge, okay? Now, for food, here's what I love. I literally love a good bowl of ice cream during this time. Again, I try really hard to make sure I'm not consuming a lot of sweets throughout my week. So this is my time to get an ice cream. You know what else I've discovered is that I can make up pizza now. Like, I know this seems so stupid, but I did not realize I could throw in a frozen pizza for myself every once in a while. And so this is my time. I throw in a frozen pizza. And I'll eat a little bit of it. I save the rest for Matt when he gets home. I eat my ice cream. And I just relax. I just relax with it, and it's so fun. I am not worried about my hydration level here. I'm literally letting go of all the things that I think about every other moment of the week. And it's amazing. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb while I rot. This is crucial, okay? So yes, you're on your phone, you're consuming content, you're scrolling, but I do not want notifications at this time. I lead a team for my job as a communications lead for an anti-human trafficking ministry. So throughout the weekend, I am getting messages from my team or from people who are requesting things from me. And usually I try to be really on top of those things and help people out in those moments. And I also, like I said, I work for this other team that they're amazing, but there's messages that come in from them. Social media, I usually get about 10 to 15 DMs a day. So all of these messages are coming in, and I'm not going to deal with a single one. The only person who can break through my rotting Do Not Disturb is my husband. I mean, literally no one else can. And it's beautiful. It really is, because I am so untouched by the world. I just build myself a little bubble that I can exist in with no one else around me. So phone on Do Not Disturb is 100% important. Scrolling Pinterest for me, this one's 50-50, okay? Because Pinterest inspires me. And I'm not meant to be inspired right now. This is not time to be like, ooh, what am I going to do next? Ooh, I need to make a to-do list like I do in my self-care nights. So Pinterest is really a 50-50 toss-up. I don't know if it belongs in the rot. I'm going to be honest. Because I'll start looking and I'll be like, oh, that's a fun meal. Oh, I should make that next week. Oh, what are my meals for next week? You know where I should plan my outfits for next week too? I think I need this outfit. Okay. It's too much. It's too much for a rot night. I think that belongs on a reset day or a Sabbath. I really do. I think it's too much for your rot time. So I'm going to veto Pinterest, at least for me, okay? It's too inspiring. I am not, like, literally, I'm not reading a book. I'm not listening to a podcast. Like, you're just rotting. Last thing that I'm going to say about rot night on your how-to, this is a solo activity. This is important. I do not think rotting with another person works well. Because one of you gets antsy before the other one does, and they wreck the whole vibe for your rot night, okay? So for me, it honestly switches. I've tried to do this whole, like, chill, do nothing with Matt before. Most of the time, he's done after about an hour. This man can barely sit through a movie, okay? So a guy who can barely sit through a movie, he doesn't really want to sit nonstop like that unless he's playing a game where he feels like he's accomplishing something or winning at something. And that's fair. That's for him. But for me, it makes me feel like, okay, well, he's doing something. I need to go do something now. Or it just kind of it wrecks the vibe of it. It takes away from the rest of it all. So honestly, it's got to be solo. It's got to be. And so solo to the point where your phone's on do not disturb. I mean, I ultimately mean that. This is time for you to just zone out for a few minutes, because I think we are so zoned in to the extreme for the rest of our weeks, right? We're constantly answering emails, text. We're literally always working on projects. We have so much going on. It's literally the ultimate zone out. And I think that's why I love it. I really do, because I have so much intention in everything I do throughout the rest of the week. I have to have this time to just be brainless for like 3 hours. And that sounds so extreme, but instead of taking, an hour a day or, crashing every single night and just mindlessly scrolling every night for an hour, I just save it all up for a Friday chunk and I just block it off better. So I really want to point out here, though, that this is not the time to habit stack. Whenever I throw in a load in the dishwasher or I'm doing laundry at this time, I feel like the rot isn't as restful. Truthfully, it doesn't really reset me as much as when there's nothing going on, because then by the end of the time that you're rotting, if you're not doing anything, you're truly not doing anything, all of a sudden you're like, my gosh, I miss everything that I get to do throughout the days. I miss being able to take care of my activities. I miss my to-do list. I miss my meal plans. I miss my nourishment. I miss moving my body. You miss the things that you were created to do. And all of a sudden, everything that you have to do throughout the day no longer looks like a burden. It looks like something that is exciting to you again. And so by the end of this rot, I have a list ready to go for the weekend of all the things that I need to accomplish, and I'm ready to do them. I'm excited to do them, and I no longer feel overwhelmed. And ultimately, that's what this does. This rot time pushes off any sort of overwhelmed burnout feeling that could be encroaching on me. And since I'm very sensitive to burnout, I literally hit the worst burnout I've ever experienced a couple years ago, to the point where I struggled to get off the couch for weeks at a time, months at a time, truthfully. And it was because I had pushed myself too hard. So this is a way that I've kind of built a hedge around myself to protect myself. And before social media called it rotting, I didn't know what the name was, but I did this regularly. Regularly would I just check out for a couple hours, and then I was able to check back in at the same caliber that I'd always been at. So yeah, I find it really important. I really do. I think it makes you crave the life that you live. And it's beautiful for that. But I also find that I crave my rot moments too. I really do. I look forward to this time. And so is it the best thing? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I also don't think being as high speed as we are throughout our lives is the best thing either. But there's really no escaping that unless you're ready to completely cut off and go move to a homestead and, I don't know, whatever people do on farms. You know, grow things and eat things and whatever. I'm not going to ever live on a farm. Now someone go knock on some wood, because now I'm scared that God's going to put me on some farm. But it's okay, okay? So anyways, all this being said, I highly suggest you at least consider trying a Rot Night. Maybe you don't need yours every Friday. Maybe you need yours once a month. But just don't let it build up. Don't let the pressure build up. Don't let the burnout build up, the exhaustion, the overwhelmed feelings, the stress. If you can keep all that at bay in order to show up as your best self each and every single day, I think it's worth it. I really do. I find that it is an art that you have to master. You have to learn what a rot looks like for you, and you have to learn how often you need it in order to keep yourself functioning. At least for me. So I hope this episode was helpful. It's just kind of short. I really wanted to talk about this though. I feel very passionately about just protecting your peace around that, and taking a few hours every week to do that is great time. Let me tell you, it really is. So anyways, I love you guys lots. I am going to go plan my rot because I'm tired.